Hi, everyone, and welcome to, I think it's episode 3 of season 3. Dear
I don't know
Rachel.
that. Well, Rach, I'm not sure that we're going to release these in the order we're recording them. So
Okay,
who knows?
so shall I start again or shall I just say hello?
Say hello.
Hi, everyone. As usual, we are super professional here at Dear Rach and Soph, but that's because we're busy writing books and, doing all the other things. So I'm Rachel Johns and I'm here with the lovely Sophie.
Green. Hello.
And we have got an exciting interview ahead today. I'm super excited about this one. We're actually going to be interviewing someone about Scrivener, and I have a lot of questions because I'll get onto those questions and explanation when our guest arrives. But first, we should probably do a little catch up. So, how's your last few days been?
Look, I'm actually not sure which end is up at the moment, Rach, but I'm gearing up at the time we're recording for revealing the cover of my new novel. Yes, I'm building it up, and I've made little videos in Canva, and I've got a whole schedule of videos to put out ahead of the release.
So exciting.
Also have to write my newsletter to put it out to the newsletter first. So those sorts of things.
Sign up to our newsletters on our website if you want our personal newsletters.
Yeah, so I am at sophiegreenauthor.substack.com and you are at
Rachel Johns, hang on.
or Google Pink
Yeah,
Ink by Rachel Johns.
If you go to my website, there's a link always there too. So that's, just as easy.
And
So
your newsletter is actually jam-packed with good stuff.
it is. Wow. If you listen to the Substack episode last season, people, you will understand that I was very kind of against doing a Substack or a weekly newsletter, and now I'm doing both and loving it. So it just shows that sometimes, you surprise yourself. And
Well,
I'm
I surprised myself
loving it too.
because I've been writing them more regularly than I thought. And funnily enough, this week's episode of Happier in Hollywood, which is a podcast by Liz Craft and Sarah Fain, who are TV writers, they talk about Substack. They've been on Substack, well, publishing on Substack for a little bit, but reading on it for longer. And they're talking about how when they're in Hollywood talking to people, Hollywood being the generic catch-all,
Yeah.
talking to people about Substack, often they're getting no response because they're saying it's still not well known enough that even people in LA
Don't know what it is. We're early adopters, Soph.
We are. Could be the first time in my life that I'm an early adopter of something.
Me too. Well, I think the good thing there is, though, that you don't have to be on Substack or know about Substack to receive the newsletters from Substack. So it's just like a regular newsletter if that's the way you want to interact with it. But if you want to get involved in other bits of the platform and see what other people are up to, then do that.
Yeah, I remember looking at it quite a long time ago and thinking, oh, should I start doing things on that? And then just thinking, I really can't add another platform in my life.
Same.
But with changes with Meta and with TikTok going on and uncertainty, I think it is good to have a platform that focuses on writing. And
Same.
you can put other things on there. I have a country music one as well, and I put video and audio on there. But
yeah,
it is a great place to find content about things you're interested in. So you can
exactly
your subject matter that you're interested in. Find if you like fashion, there will be newsletters about fashion.
Yeah.
Anything. Now,
I was going to say, this is not a Substack sponsored post.
Annie Bucknell has trained us both well, though.
Yes, she has. So I've had a bit. Oh, it's a Saturday when we're recording this, and I'm still madly writing in every available time. And I've actually got a question for you, so
Okay.
So before, because we've got a few minutes before, I might need some Sophie therapy.
Okay, let's go for it.
I only want one answer.
Oh, I see.
No, then I'm going to be annoyed. Not at you, just at myself and the whole world. Anyway, so without giving spoilers away, the book that I'm almost finished now, The Lucky Sisters, which is coming out on October 21st. Apparently, we're definitely.
Can we pre-order it?
Not yet. Okay. I haven't done a cover reveal on that, but I'll let you know as soon as I can. So it's basically there's a little bit of I'm trying to say this without. There's kind of a little bit of a supernatural, maybe what's the word? Magic realism that has just appeared. I didn't realize I was going to lean into it quite as much as I have been. And I'm wondering what you think, about commercial fiction readers, you know, getting a little bit, I did have a little bit of a Google, and I thought, well, there's plenty of books that have done really well in this sort of kind of sphere. Like Taylor Jenkins Reid had a book which I haven't read, but it was uh, it's one of her, you know, earlier ones, called Maybe in Another Life, that did also, I think, you know, play on that sort of idea. And then, of course, the very popular Midnight Library also kind of plays on the fact that you can go into, you know, another realm.
Mm-hmm.
Am I convincing myself? Or do you think?
You don't think you need to, because a book I just posted about on social media, because I've loved it most of my life, Playing Beatty Bow, absolutely
Love Playing
has
Beatty
a
Bow.
supernatural element in it, which is time travel.
Yeah.
So
But I just mean, like, are my publishers and my readers going to go, no, that's, although I have, to be fair, I have had elements in epilogues before. I've also had ghosts, and I really do like writing about that sort of
I
stuff.
think if you ask enough people, including me, they will tell you they have ghost stories.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
supernatural,
we have to have an episode of ghost stories. Let's do it.
supernatural is well, and also for me, being in the yoga and meditation space, where things happen that you can't explain really, and also I have learnt, I think I've talked about manipulating time, but I've also learnt now in terms of magic in everyday life. Jessica Snow, who I've mentioned before, she has a meditation called The Magician, and that stuff works. It's behind a paywall, but it's, I'm doing the Jessica Snow promo because I'm always happy to support her work. You can buy it for $5 and have it forever.
Wow.
The Magician is actually the most powerful meditation I have ever encountered, and I bought one for my friend.
Wow.
And she said the same thing, that
I'm going to look it up.
Never encountered anything like it. So I don't do it that often because it is pretty powerful in a great way. But it's that thing where the work that you do in that meditation will have magical impacts on your life. And if you go into it in a certain mindset, it could be a negative impact. So it's good to be in the right frame of mind. But I tend to find there's things that happen in terms of supernatural in the everyday. So what's happening to me at the moment, and this is partly when you start to surrender to what's around you and just let things happen. If I want to hear back from someone, just say I've sent an email and I haven't heard back and I don't want to badger them. What I will do now is I will start writing an email to them, but I will not send it. In fact, I'll often cancel out of it. And within a couple of hours, they usually email me.
Oh, I love that trick. That's very useful trick for people who are in public, like aspiring authors and just published authors who are desperate to hear something. So that's a useful trick. And
you've got to be able to work it. Like, you've got to be able to work the magic. Let's put it that way. So this is
I do have on my arm, trust the magic.
That's right. This is a long-winded way of saying supernatural in your novel, I think, is absolutely fine, and in fact makes sense for the human experience.
I also, that's very true too. And I also think I just wrote a note while you were talking, and I'm answering my own, like giving myself my own therapy. I think that I do believe, as we've talked about before, there's an element of magic in writing, and that part of our job as writers is to go with what appears to us sometimes. You know, it sounds very Elizabeth Gilberty, and she'd say it better than me, but, you know, don't fight the things that maybe appear and you didn't necessarily plan them. I think that's sometimes where the magic really happens. And I don't mean the magic as in anyway,
I've got a novel coming out this year. I wasn't planning on that, but this novel appeared, and for lack of a better term, I trusted the magic. I went, oh well, this whole thing's presented itself to me. I could have fought that and gone, oh no, I don't think I have time. I knew it would be quite a steep climb to do it at the time.
Yes, because you hadn't started when you usually would have started, had you?
Yeah. So I just thought, no, I'll go with it, because otherwise I might let it go and someone else will do it, and then I'll be really annoyed.
Yeah. That happened to me years and years and years ago. But it's what, again, Elizabeth Gilbert talks about in her book, isn't it? If an idea comes to you and it's strongly calling to you. I mean, this book that I'm writing now, actually, this idea has been with me for quite some time. And I kept pushing it aside because I got the idea for The Other Bridget, and then from that came, actually no, it probably arrived about the same time as The Other Bridget, but that had to come first. And then from writing and editing The Other Bridget, I got the idea for The Bad Bridesmaid, and that jumped the queue of this one. And I think in that time, oh, that's right, also as well, I was contracted with my last publisher to write a women's fiction novel, and it was going to be this one that I'm writing now. And then when I got to change publishers, and I still had one book in the contract to go, my old publisher said, "Do you want to write a rural romance?" And said, sort of, "That's where you started with us. Let's round it all up and let's do a Bunyip Bay one." So I said, "Yes." So this book got pushed aside quite a few times, and I must admit I was very worried about that because I was scared that, you know, it might be someone else, or that it's not even that sometimes happens. I think it's that if you sit on something for too long, like there's almost this balance between giving an idea enough time to sort of percolate and develop and, find its own magic, and then as in thinking about it for too long, and then it kind of can get stale or something like that. So I was very worried, but I'm happy. And I also think that I'm happy that it's working out the way it is now. I'm almost done. And I do think, and I reckon you believe this too, is that sort of everything happens in the right time. So now this is the right time for this book, and it wasn't yet. So
yeah. I do think that I'm not a fan of everything happens for a reason, because I think that could be toxic positivity, but I am a great believer in what some might call cosmic timing.
Yes, that's what I mean. I agree with you. I think we said last week or the week before, I don't believe everything happens for a reason either. But I think sometimes the timing is not right, and other times it is, and that maybe there's something out there that was pushing this book aside, or the other ones earlier, because it was the right time or the wrong time. Yeah,
and it could well have been that it was the right time for the other books, rather than being necessarily the right time for this book.
Yes, exactly.
This being the strong through line, the other books might have just muscled their way in there.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll see what happens when it comes out in October, and we'll see. I'll keep you all posted when I have finished. I'll be hopefully finishing this week, because I'm off to New Zealand for the week after that, and I really didn't want to work too much while I'm away. But I'll keep you posted on when my publisher reads my little supernaturally magic element as to what she says about it.
So, do you have any events coming up that people should know about?
That's
the Readers Retreat.
By the time this is out, it'll be over. I'm interviewing Natasha Lester this week, which I think you are.
I am too, yeah, on March 30th, yes.
And I'm also going down south this week in WA to Albany to do an event this week, but that will be over also by the time this comes out. So my mind is blank and I can't think much past that.
I put you on the spot too. But our guest has arrived, so it's perhaps a good time for me to put us on pause. And I will also mention, those of you who are watching us, I have my microphone visible, which I don't usually, because I used to think that it didn't just look that great, but I've now realized that I'm perhaps compromising the sound quality. So I've brought it a little closer, and I'll listen to it on the recording and make a judgment at that point in time. But the microphone has always been here. It's just been off screen. Just in case you're wondering, you may not be, and now you're not going to be able to unsee it. Anyway, putting us on pause. See you after the jump, Rach.
Thank you. As I said, I'm super excited today to have our guest here for multiple reasons. Our guest is the fabulous Karina May, who I absolutely love as a person and as an author. She's got her latest book, The Island Feeling, behind her on the shelf there. That Island Feeling, sorry, which I have read, and it was so beautiful and so... Oh, there's so many feelings. I think it was one of my favorite books I've read recently. And I don't know if I've even told you that. So there you go, Karina. I'm so behind in my reading and stuff, and my also shouting about everything. But I'll introduce you quickly to anyone who doesn't know you, and then we'll get stuck in. So Karina May is a Sydney-based former... Are you a former journalist? I found that somewhere. Is that true?
Yeah, magazines. Okay. I mean, journalism, it's a loose term, but
no, that's fine. I just wanted to, because I Googled your bio, even though I've got the book. I'm so stupid. I didn't even think I grabbed the book off the shelf and open it. Anyway.
There's so many versions floating around as well. Like, I don't know what one is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I lose track.
Well, sometimes when people read my bios, I'm like, that's not true, or I haven't said that, or that's really old. So anyway, we'll go with this, what I've got, and we'll see if you agree. So Karina May is a Sydney-based former journalist, magazine journalist, much more fun, that turned romantic comedy writer. Her debut novel, Duck L'Orange for Breakfast. Well, that was your debut print novel. I happen to know there was another one in there. Blends humour, heart, and a touch of Parisian flair. Would you say that's right? I don't know where they got this from. Anyway.
Never heard. I've never heard this bio before. Was this ChatGPT's take on
No,
me?
maybe it is because I found another one earlier when I Googled, but this one just came up now. Anyway.
So far it sounds right. Like not Peruvian, Parisian. Is that?
Yeah, no, that's right. Anyway, I'm good at because your website says that you also have other fiction. I mean, I'm doing a terrible introduction here. Like honestly,
Go with it, Rach. Lean into it.
I'm more of a vibe person anyway. It's like, you know.
Exactly. So am I.
She's cool.
Anyway, so basically, Karina's from Sydney. She writes fabulous romantic comedy books. When she's not writing, she has a fabulous podcast, which I also love, that Rom Com Pod. And I have been lucky enough to be a guest on that Rom Com Pod. And her co-host is a lovely Clare Fletcher. I was about to say fabulous again, and I'm like, I've said fabulous 10 times already. This is why we need editors, right? Anyway, it's a delight to have you here. And your latest book is That Island Feeling. And Sophie did say some things just before we started about how she was really invested in your Instagram posts around that island feeling.
Yeah, well, hello, Karina. And yes, I thought you did a fabulous job. I'm using the F word now of leading into your publication. You put up this post with these amazing photographs of island travels you had done. And I then started to become like an investigator. Where is she staying? So I was looking at there was some, I think it was an oyster place, and I was thinking, I think that's near the Central Coast. I don't know, because effectively you could be a travel influencer with the way you took photographs and the way you put all of that together.
Well, you do say in your bio on your website that when you're not interviewing fellow authors, you can be found researching her next travel adventure or sipping champagnes at bookish events.
I like to say I write lively love stories for wanderlusters, and it started as a joke, like, you know, what holidays can I get written off? And now it's become, it's actually a thing. Like, I need to research this. But
also, Karina, that's an amazing tagline. Lively stories for wanderlusters.
And wanderlust is such a beautiful word. Like, it really is.
Fabulous.
And it covers islands to New York. So, you know, I can get lots of different travels in. But yeah, I mean, the island, Sophie, that you're probably referring to was Danga Island, which is on the Hawkesbury. So yeah, Central Coast. And that was actually how the book started, because I was there. I love to book my little solo retreats, Airbnbs, actually normally staying with someone, like normally an older woman who I can learn from, or we have dinner together, and it's just become a bit of a thing, so you're not completely lonely and isolated.
I love
and
that.
If other writers go away, and so I was editing Duck actually on Danga Island, and that was when the idea for That Island Feeling kind of dropped in. And then of course I was like, well, I love this island, but I might have to research some other islands. So then I visited Hamilton Island and then Wahiki Island, which is only like a 45-minute ferry ride from Auckland. I had a friend's wedding in New Zealand, and so I kind of combined them all, which was that post. So yeah, I definitely did island research.
Well, and I also loved, that idea of going on the solo Airbnb, making sure there's someone else in there. I
love that too.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I know we wanted to, you want to tell us a little bit about That Island Feeling, and then I'm going to ask you where you're wandering next. Anyway.
That Island Feeling, it's funny because I'm kind of I've got a few events left now. So the book came out on New Year's Eve, which was nice and fun. So I'm a bit rusty with my
bubbles, not that you need one.
Yeah, it's actually funny. It's a funny publication date because I wasn't expecting much attention because, you know, everyone's so busy counting down their own milestones. It's actually really nice to kind of have the online experience and have a couple of weeks and then do the in-person events when everyone's back from holidays. So it kind of made me be more in the moment around the publication, which was nice. But yeah, That Island Feeling is about Andy Alcott, who is really stressed out in her life. Her mum has recently passed, and her dad, who has dementia, has been moved into a home. But she's kind of that gal that is always like being the best friend to everybody, organizing everything. And so when her best friend Taylor gets divorced 18 months after her getting married, Andy takes it upon herself to organize this big girls' getaway, which is like a divorce trip. And they go to Pearl Island. So initially, Andy has everything kind of planned down to the last, like every second of the day, with no room for or any thinking that she'd have time for a holiday fling. And that's when Jack, who is a local oyster farmer, kind of pops up. So yeah, she starts to enjoy herself on this island trip. So
it's a very fun setup.
Yeah.
The whole, well, won't give too many spoilers, but I'm not sure.
I think that's fine to say.
On.
I normally do say that. So they arrive on the island and straight away things don't go to plan when the Airbnb that they've booked moorings is double booked, and there's a bucks group there. So yeah, that was
such a fun mix up. I loved it. So today we invited you on to mostly pick your brain about Scrivener, because here on Dear Rach and Soph we like to sort of investigate different issues that authors might have, but also tools and writing craft books and social media aspects and how to write a book. Your process is a huge thing that many writers kind of are interested in. And I heard you talking recently on another podcast about how you've just recently started using Scrivener. Did you use it for that island feeling?
Oh no, I use it. I've been using it for actually all my books.
Okay.
But there was a time that I didn't use it. So like when I was writing, maybe my first book, not Duck, maybe my digital one. And then, that was in a Word doc. And then a friend had been using Scrivener and I was just like, oh, it's too much. And she's like, oh, this is going to change your life. So she sat me down and took me through the basics in an hour. And then I haven't looked back since. So like, I actually can't even think about writing in a Word doc now. Like, I don't know if I could go back. So I've now done, this will be my 4th book that I'm writing now in Scrivener. So I've worked out my process and what works for me.
See, that's what I was always interested in. So I've downloaded Scrivener, I reckon, at least once, if not twice. And then, you can get a trial or something for a certain amount. And then I've had a fiddle with it because I hear this. So many writers that use it say, you won't look back. It's amazing. And I am just a writer who writes chronologically in Word. And, I don't do a lot of character profiles and stuff beforehand. Obviously, I do research in little, sometimes it's bigger beforehand. Sometimes it's only as I go. But yeah, I've just always thought, I don't really know how, it would improve or help my process. But I hear so many people say it would. And then over the last couple of books, I've started to do something which I never used to do. And this is why I think, or maybe Scrivener would be useful. And that is sometimes jump ahead and write a scene that, is in the future and I haven't, planned to write. And then I just put it in my, it just adds up in my long Word document, and I have all these different scenes and I have to move them around when I need them and scroll down and look, I swear I wrote something about this, and look, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just really curious to learn more about it. We should probably say, Sophie, 2 things first before we get really stuck in. One, remind me of this in a moment, ladies, we should talk about what Scrivener actually is. So if anyone's listening and going, huh, what? We'll explain. But Sophie, do you use Word, Scrivener, or anything else? I don't know if I've ever asked you this.
Word. I tried Pages because I have a Mac, and I thought, well, I'll try using this particular word processing software. Could not get my head around Pages in terms of whether there was any improvement on Word whatsoever. And I was used to Word, so I just got myself a Microsoft license and installed Word on my Mac. And I like Word. What I don't like about Word is the track changes process when edits come back, because I find it really hard to use, especially on a Mac. But maybe that's something that Karina actually has experience with, and Scrivener may help with. I don't know, because I have never used it.
Yeah, we've definitely got a question for edits later. Do you want to say something first, Karina?
Yeah, no, I was going to say that's one thing. Once it comes out of Scrivener for me, I don't put it back in, because it is a bit of a pain to put it back in, because it only makes sense to have it in there in chunks. So to put it back in, you have to import it. So once it comes out and I'm in editing, I am doing track changes in Word, and I must say that's when I'm like, oh, I wish that Scrivener, and maybe Scrivener does have a feature where you can, but I haven't worked that out. So that's 2.0 for me, would be being able to edit in there.
That's interesting. I don't even mind track changes, I don't think.
we could go on a whole
Yeah.
discussion about that.
How the publisher has set it up, because sometimes it's like they're locked and it's I need to see a clean draft. Like I still haven't.
It is fiddly, yeah. Sometimes, like
Yeah.
I got used to it, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like sometimes something works and then it doesn't work the next time, or vice versa. So you're probably the expert here about Scrivener, right? Can you just give us a quick example of like, or a definition, or kind of a idea of what Scrivener is, if someone is listening and thinking, what the hell are we talking about?
Well, I definitely don't have like qualifications in Scrivener. I haven't.
That's okay. We don't have qualifications in therapy, but we offer therapy.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any certification or anything, but yeah, I mean, I just describe it as writing software. So I think it's owned by Literature and Latte, and I think that's like an independent org, but that is where you get Scrivener from. So it's a program on your desktop, but it's also an app, and that's actually one great thing as well, because you can sync between your desktop and your apps. But yeah, it's basically an alternative to your Word doc or Google Doc. But I think as well, it's a hybrid of a word processor, but also like a mood board. So it's kind of like, it could be to replace your Post-its or your cork board with structure. It's a place that you can store all your ideas. So it's more like a hub, like a writing hub.
So you decided to use it because your friend was raving about it, right?
Yeah.
Did you think that it would be better than what? Like, I'm just trying to.
Well,
convince you.
It had been brought up in an Australian Writers Centre course that I had done, and I knew that there was courses, but I just couldn't fathom sitting through courses around technology when I was like, I just want to get on with things.
Yeah.
But I do think you need that person in life that's just going to keep badgering you. Like I am that annoying person now. If I'm
that's
at
why
an
we
event or
invited
something,
you on.
yeah, it's like I'll just sit next to you, because I probably don't use all the features, and I think and I'm a digital marketer now, like by trade, so I am kind of more tech focused, but even all the features and stuff I think can sometimes be intimidating. And also, as writers, we love a procrastination. Like,
true. So you can take
get distracted by using all of the features. So it was really my writing friend who sat me down. It's like, I'm just going to show you the way that I use it, because the problem that I was trying to solve was, I don't know, Rach, I know that I think you maybe have gotten out of the habit now, but you used to sit down and read everything you had written.
I'm trying to get out of the habit, but I still do it a little bit.
So I kind of was doing the same thing and scroll, maybe because, I heard you say that and I was like, oh, this is what this best-selling published author is telling me. But I would scroll through the document, and I just felt like I was feeling lost before I even dropped in to do the work. So I think I was looking for a solution of like, what is a way that like me? And I know I would have done it anyway. I mean, it's Word, right? So you're just scrolling, even if you have the like the tree on the side, or the chapter titles. So I think I was trying to solve that overwhelming feeling. Like in a book, you're already getting lost, like I do when I'm writing.
A novel is a big thing, right? And so
especially if you're doing it in between times, like, it's not often that I have a whole day, like I'm dipping in and out between work. So it's like, I just need to be able to like get it.
Yeah. It's interesting because that's one of the things, like I always think, oh, if it makes things better, that's great. But the moment I can't see how it will make it better, and it's too overwhelming and takes too much time to learn. So you said you only use like a few of the 5 or so key features. Is it too much? Is it too hard to explain to us what those features are? And
I just
how it changed your writing process? Yeah.
I'm probably just not using like the right terminology.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
What I use.
That's okay.
Because I didn't go through the official channels, and I just kind of like, worked it out. But what I really love is, so I also try and write chronologically, but I've worked out that when I get stuck, I like to reward myself by jumping to like a fun scene. Yeah, but then you get that shock and horror when you think you're done, and then you get back and you realize I've left these holes here, or so I love using, so I section everything. It has like a binder down the side, or like a tree, where you can add sections and chapters. So it's kind of like basically a nest for all of like mini docs, mini Word docs. So you can also drag and drop them around. So I don't personally do this very much because I plan out and I don't really change the order of things, but it's really handy to drag and drop. Oh, I think this scene should come first. But the way that I use it is always have an overview to see like where I'm at in a specific spot. So I use color coding. So I give myself like it's kind of gamifying it, but also it's really handy to see like where I'm at with each of the chapters. Or sometimes I will do it on a scene level, a chapter level, and then sometimes I'll do it on part level as well, just depending on what the writing is. But I give myself a red flag if I have set up, as in I've written a top line of what this scene is going to be. That's a red flag. The moment
like, a red flag is a good thing in this case.
No, a red flag. I mean, a red flag is like I've done the bare minimum here, but there's something here. Yeah, there's something here, but I can't look at this doc holistically and say like chapter 5.
Yeah, I like that. So you just like kind of, well, this is probably the wrong word, but maybe you're stuck in that part and you can't move forward and stuff in that part, but you know you do have to come back to it later. Is that kind of a...
Yeah, or if I'm just even setting up the plot or the structure, at least I can put chapter 17. I'll do a one-line thing, so I know that there's something there, like there's something on the page. And then once I dip into it, I will change the color status of the flag. So you can set emojis or colors, or you can do whatever you want. So that's the stuff that's fun because you can literally like, I mean, you could, I don't know if you could choose a frog, but that's the kind of, again, knowing myself, if I went too far into that stuff,
You just
I
have
would
all
just
that
really
fun.
get distracted.
Because that's what I'm kind of hearing now. I'm hearing some good things, but I'm also hearing, well, this is taking time to set up, but you feel it's worth the time to set that up. I also feel like, so you said you're a plotter.
I've become more of a plotter. I think that's a common thing, right? Once you start getting contracts and you have a short amount of time, it's like I don't really have as much time to like just feel my way.
Go down. Yeah, I'm definitely still more of a pantser, but I do know, I think I've realized that a lot of people, when I say that, they think, oh, that means you don't think about plot at all. And I do, but I'd sort of like just in my head and holistic kind of thing. Whereas Sophie, you do this spreadsheet thing. As I'm listening to Karina, I'm thinking, sounds like Scrivener would work quite well for you, Sophie.
I don't know, because I do a table in Word, and I do a lot of planning documents, and it could work in that I can have the planning documents sitting there as opposed to what I do now, which is go back into my file manager and open the documents when I need them.
Oh no.
That's
because you don't have to have multiple tabs, because I can have a folder just for my story, and sitting nested under that is a folder of my thoughts, my timelines. And so I'm clicking in my chapter and then I'm clicking down here, and I can have them all open at the same time in the one screen on like the one tab.
I've been Googling it, really looking it up and working on it. And I can see that the layout of it has some appeal for certain things. So I may well download the trial.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. So you said you like sectioning everything. You like the little flags and things like that. Keep going from there.
And then like, I mean, I just love gamifying things. So there's nothing more satisfying that so I normally will have 4 colors, and this is just my system, but I will do like a red color, then we'll go to an amber, then we'll go purple, and then we go green. So green is when I've gone through it. So purple is when like I'm pretty happy with this. So at any point, like right now, with the manuscript I'm working at, I can see like I'm a couple of chapters from the end, but when I look up, there's quite a few red flags happening. And I remember I just was, and that's as a writer, you think if I didn't want to write this, maybe this doesn't have to be in the story, because I was getting bored. So
that's a good point too.
So that's also helped me, I think, maybe to work smarter. So like I'm not scared of skipping something now, and I used to be, because I just didn't know how that would affect the story, but I feel more confident being able to see it visually. But yeah, there's nothing more rewarding than when I get to, even if I don't go to full green and I get to change a color. So I have a writing day tomorrow, and like I have 2 red flags at the end, and I would love to be able to, like, they'll definitely change color, but I'd love for them to be green by the end of tomorrow. So yeah, little gamification things, but that also makes sense, I think, in keeping yourself oriented in the story.
So any other features that you use? Do you like use it before you start writing?
I don't really, so you can do character profiles and things like that, and the layout of those, they actually even look like little note cards. So visually it's really pretty and attractive. I do like aesthetics. That is an appeal, that everything, you can drop pictures in there and build mood boards. I will sometimes pop one reference image in there. Again, it's more just rather than having notebooks and Google Drive and things everywhere. So normally, like, I'm someone that's out and about in the world and writing notes on my phone, and then I will a couple of times a week dump my notes into the notes in Scrivener, and that's when I could be doing it smarter, because I could be opening the Scrivener app on my phone and putting it directly in there. But I just know my process. I've been a notes app girly for years. Like, it's how I have my thoughts. So and
so you don't write, do you have like I'm writing at the moment, and I've got this notebook next to me that's got a whole load of different things, and I like constantly am writing things in there and stuff. Do you do anything on paper or anything, or it's all in Scrivener?
Oh yeah, like only if I'm getting stuck and I need to like physically like hold a pen, I think. But yeah, I just, like, when I'm stuck in Scrivener, I open up my thoughts folder and I just scroll through like sentences and stuff, and like can cherry pick. And then the moment something makes it into the manuscript, so it moves to the other folder, I delete it from my thoughts folder. So it just feels, because it's so in the one spot. So I do definitely use it for brainstorming, but I just add that extra step where I brainstorm outside of the program. But I know that people do. I have been stung by the syncing of the app and the desktop before. My own fault. So yeah, you can sync. So you can write on the fly on your phone, and then it should sync to your desktop. But if you don't have the most up-to-date version on your phone and then you sync, it will push the old version onto your computer and replace anything that you might have had.
So you could lose some stuff.
Yeah, that's just syncing 101. That's like a user error.
I mean, you can lose stuff on your own, like you can make mistakes like that in Word. You can not forget to back up and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I had the question here. I'm jumping around, but because you've sort of said that, I want to ask, are there any other cons? You seem pretty happy with the tools that you're using, and
I just think because it's a one-off fee as well. So the only problem was when I moved computers, I have a Mac, and I feel like every few years they just go like, let's just combust this Mac, and someone puts in Apple. So like then it dies. So I feel like every few years you probably have to reinvest, because I couldn't work out how to move the program over from one computer.
I wouldn't be able to either then if you can't.
But it was a flat rate. You'll be able to probably insert how much it costs now, but I remember it being like a flat rate of under $100. So there's no monthly subscription. Once you purchase it, there's not even like a Microsoft thing where it's the flat rate for the annual and then it renews. Like you have it. And I think when I purchased it, it was around the $70 mark. It's probably more now.
That's probably about right. I just looked it up and it says US. I haven't done but it says US $59.99. So that's probably
a low investment just to give it a go.
And tax deductible if you are already a writer that's earning income from your writing. And if not, investment in your writing. So that wasn't a con. Are there any cons?
I really don't have, I mean, it's just the editing thing. So the great thing is you can also set up templates in there. So sorry, they're default templates. So when I'm starting a new project, and it also will nest multiple projects. So I can jump between books really easily, but you can set up the whole, and you can do this in Word as well, but the template, you can pick novel template or script template. You can write scripts in there and it will format everything for you. So when you compile it to export it, you can compile it really easily for EPUB. I like to put my stuff on Kindle at a certain stage and read through it. So it exports really easily.
And you can export it to Word and PDF. So
anything you want, So the downfall is it's like once I have exported it and it's sent off to publisher and there's changes back, I have tried to put it back into Scrivener before and it's just a real pain. So it's great to build in there, but it's not great for me unless, I might be missing a feature. If you import it, then it's not going to be sectioned up. It gets imported back in as a whole document. And then that's not useful because then I can't do my flags. It's just one file. So but that's probably more of a dream state than like, I don't know that's not a downside. That's just more of Yeah.
So
if anyone who's used to using Scrivener and knows that you can put it back in and use it the way you did it the first time, please let us know the tip. Or if someone on the development team at Scrivener happens to be listening. Karina has some feedback for you.
I need an affiliate code.
I know. That's what I was thinking when we're doing this. We need to get Literature and Latte to give an affiliate code to listeners. So any other features that we should know about that turns you like into a believer?
I mean, like it has auto backup, so that's nice. Like if you're doing the right thing. I don't really know. I mean,
like
it's
being
got
able to. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
it's got stat target. So
I like that.
Yeah, you can set what your milestone is for the day, and then like the milestone of the whole manuscript. So you know,
So you
of
can
course
see kind of if you're 60% in or whatever.
yeah, and you can set it up so the tab is just, I don't know if this is helpful for me or not, but because I'm always, you know, it's like kind of like a watch clock or like a watch candle.
I check the word count constantly.
Yeah, so with this is you can actually have the bar just sitting at the top of the document so you can see how close you are getting. So there's just a lot of features that gamify like getting it done, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like all that stuff. And yeah, I feel like the more that I write and change as an author and, as I said, jump ahead and stuff, I could see how it would be useful. I may try it for the next book.
Honestly, like it doesn't really, because I've also been thinking and trying the audio to text. So I know that some writers write that way, and I think Kelly Rimmer was saying that it took
she does, and
6 weeks for her brain to start to work that way, because sometimes when I'm speaking, I'm like, this is just the voice that I want. I've tried it and it doesn't. And so I feel like to get up to speed in Scrivener, it's not like a 6-week thing. It's literally like you can be converted in an afternoon.
Yes, that's a pro, because I must admit, we should get someone to talk, either Kelly Rimmer or Macy Yates, someone to talk about dictation on here. So
yeah, I'm so curious.
We already have Kelly on the list. I think we already have Kelly on the list to do just that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I have heard them both like Kelly and Rimmer.
And Maisie Peters is another one who was at RWA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I know I stupidly, like you, I used to, when I'm walking the dog and stuff, I don't do it so much anymore, but I used to constantly, like if I had a sentence popped into my head or an idea or a title or whatever, or even just some lines of dialogue, I would voice record it. And so I remember at one stage thinking, when I had quite a few, you know, upcoming deadlines and stuff, oh, you know what, Rachel, I've got a genius idea. Sophie's going to laugh at this. I'm going to write 2 books at once, and we are going to have someone on talking about 2 books at once this season too. But I'm going to write 2 books at once. I thought this would be fine. I'll write one, you know, like manually with my my computer. Typing.
You're going to say with your phone?
Yeah, no. All right, my words lost for a second. But I'll write one with my computer, and I'll write one. I'll just like for half an hour every day when I'm walking the dog, I'll write the other one. So it might go a bit slower, but I'll dictate it. You know, it's a great use of time, multitasking. And so I'm very much I decided to do something, dive straight in. So I then bought the software. I think it was called Dragon Speaking Naturally back then. I don't know if, I bought the software, arrived overnight from Officeworks, and I was in the country. So I was like, this is a good omen. This is, you know, and then I just did not have the time or patience or inclination to train it. And it wasn't just the training of my voice, because I think that's got a lot better in terms of, you know, the technology. But it is very different to type something out than it is. So even though I can dictate notes and bits of dialogue, when I actually had the pressure on me, okay, Rach, now we're writing the book. Yeah. My mind went blank and I just couldn't.
That's what I was thinking. I had stage fright, and I was actually because my brain, because I work in startups, I'm always like, oh, maybe because with voice notes to friends, I can just off the cuff. So it's I need to trick myself into thinking like I'm telling a story to a friend in a voice note. So I need to going to like make me think that.
So you say, hey, Sophie, and then just start going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing is as well, though, if you have to do it, like I've talked to a number of people over the years who have dictated, not because they've, you know, like me, thought, hey, I'll be great and write 2 books at once, but because their hands have failed them, or even eyesight, you know, and things like that. And so they've, you know, they have no choice but to embrace the technology and really lean into it and learn it. And so I think, you know, if that happened, then I would hopefully, you know, be able to work it out. But I was just like, I don't have the time or energy for this. But Scrivener does sound a lot more appealing because, as you said, you don't need to train it, kind of thing. You don't need to, and you're still typing, so it's still actually the same way as writing into Word or Pages or whatever. Because I even find that some people, you know, write their novels longhand and stuff. That to me is a different sort of thing. And when I try to do that, it just, even though I write heaps of notes while I'm writing, and sometimes snatches of conversation, if I go and sit outside with a notebook and say, okay, you need to write chapter 3, just doesn't work for me. So do either of you write longhand ever for books?
Not in manuscripts, no. I write longhand a lot on a day-to-day basis, in that I keep a paper diary, and I am a believer that once something's written down in terms of a to-do list, you actually remember.
I've got that too, yeah.
So I do that, and I will when I get my structural feedback, handwrite notes about that to try to just work out what I'm doing. And I find that process is much better for me than trying to type out a to-do list. I'm actually going to sit down, write out a numbered list, write down some ideas of how to address all of this, and then that tends to do the job of being almost like a first draft of a structural edit.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how we all the different things you can like do that for writing, and it's the same like, but you can't actually write a novel in it. It's the same like if you read a book on screen as opposed to hear it like said to you, dictated to you, or if you read your own manuscript out like in printed pages, you experience it all very differently.
Yeah. Karina, do you write anything by hand?
No, the only thing I do is the same thing just to get it into my brain. So at the moment, I've got a note here that just says bodega guy, and I know that I need to go back to the manuscript and like put him in more. And I think it's stuff like that. Notes to yourself in Scrivener can maybe get a bit lost, like what's an important note. And so I still do have just for like the big ticket things. And of course, when you're editing as well, that's why like it's handy to have a pen and paper, I think, for me personally, but more just because I've written it. I'll never look at that again, but just now it's in my head. So.
Yeah. You said that you are a plotter mostly now, but that it sounds to me like you just do most of the drafting in Scrivener. So where does your plotting take place?
In Scrivener.
Oh, you do that in Scrivener too?
Yeah, well, once I've done like the synopsis, I try and do, well, the publishers have been requiring, you know, something a bit more detailed. So it's like 3 to 4 pages. So from that,
you break it down kind of thing?
Yeah, breaking it down. But then, like, I think probably most writers, you know, the characters start to take off. So I do find that from kind of leading up to the climax and the resolution. So, for example, the one that I had plotted out in Scrivener, the ending is starting to change like quite a bit. So, but that's all fine because, you know, I can easily like move it around and add an extra chapter here. But I plotted out, so I think, oh, okay, cool. Like this looks like it's going to be about 32 chapters just from what I've set up in Scrivener. And then sometimes, you know, that's not a full script chapter, so I'll merge it together.
Yeah.
It just gives me, I think
if I was, it sounds really good visual.
Yeah, it's like, it's just less intimidating to me this way. It's like I can have it little chunks, and I really just don't know how I ever wrote a book in Word now, because every time I'm doing something in Word, I feel intimidated now. Yeah. So maybe I've broken myself. And this is the thing, like if you have any real issues, like Rachael, like both of you, you're churning out books, like you're good quality, like you don't have an issue.
No, but I think I've got lots of issues, trust me. But I think when my ears prick up whenever anyone talks about Scrivener, and I think it's a thing, maybe it's that overwhelm at first, like you've made me feel that actually maybe it might help me, in that it would be good to be able to see all the chapters kind of down the side and know, you know, whose point of view it is and what is the main point, you know, and all that, and be able to jump to it. And I have actually in this book moved a couple of things around, so that would have been, you know, useful to have. But I think this is why this chat's been really useful for me, so thank you, is before I think I look at it and I think, oh, you've got to, it's the research, it's character profiles. And, I forget that you don't need to use, everything, and that the key is using the features that make your writing life and your process just that little bit more streamlined, I suppose, and doesn't detract from anything. So yeah, I think I might give it a shot in my next book, and then I'll probably, then I'll come back and report. But have you got any other questions, Sophie? Because I've got a few final, but they're really type final ones. So have you got any things to ask about?
I have some questions not about Scrivener, but about other things to do with Karina's writing life.
Okay. Well, shall I finish the Scrivener questions and then we'll get to that? So I think we've covered most of the things. And so I think I had here, does Scrivener, do you feel like it keeps you focused? And I wonder that, do you still feel distracted, to go out and check social media, or being in the Scrivener world, does that help that at all?
Yeah, like I'm putting my serious writer self on when I open Scrivener. No,
Yeah,
it doesn't really have the magic. Like, no, I'm still terrible. But and I also will ignore the goals I set myself in there. Like it's definitely not this. I'm like, oh, whatever, Scrivener. You don't know the day I've had today. Like it's just
yeah, that would be me too, definitely. I'm a bit kind to myself now, and that sometimes I say I'm too kind. The other thing was, I think we've already talked about this too, because one of my questions was if you could custom design a feature. Is there anything in there? I mean, you said that the editing, being able to bring it back. Is there anything else that you would really like to see in there that you think would make it even better?
Good. Like it's pretty perfect. I think, yeah, being able to import back in, like you can export really well, but importing back in, yeah, other than that, like it's such a great tool. And it's funny because some of these tools, like they're so simple, but they know the problem that they're solving, which I think it's funny because it's the thing that's also the blocker for writers to try it, which is it's solving overwhelm, like the overwhelm, and people don't want to try it because of the overwhelm. So it's like but that's actually the thing that it's solving for me anyway. No,
that's
and
really,
it's that blank page. You just never have a blank page because straight away when you pick novel, it will set up chapters for you, and you're like, oh wow, how many words did that give me? It's just straight away and kind of
what do you mean that it sets you pick novel and it'll give you ideas what to write? What do you mean?
But it will populate, it can populate chapter 1, chapter 2, and so it will have it's setting up all the documents for you, chapter 1, chapter 2, and then you can duplicate it, and then within 5 minutes you have kind of a nice structure, and you can do that in Word as well. But there's something about
but it's harder in Word, I think, because I have worked with Scrivener before, trials, as I said, and I can see what you mean. It sort of feels very organic and intuitive, whereas in Word, if I wanted to do something like that, I would really have to dig deep to work out how.
There's definitely some psychology around the visual of, instead of just seeing one thing, you're seeing all your work represented in lots of things. So you feel wow, I've done a lot. Oh wow, cool progress here. And then of course you get the rude shock when you realize maybe I haven't, but
it's only chapter heading.
Yeah, it's we're doing negative self-talk all the time about I haven't done this yet, I'm not up to that part yet. So it's actually really nice to have a visual of look at all the little things, look at all the little things
have done
over there. And it's just always with you. You're always seeing it while you're, and you can hide different bits. If I don't want to see that, I can hide things and keep it really simple where it's literally just the page. Or you can set it up so you have your little post-its in the right hand corner, so you can really format the view however works for you. But yeah, it's something visual and just seeing all the little things.
In some ways, but writing is not usually a very visual process, is it? I've recently started doing, and you possibly have seen on my socials, I stole it from Catherine Centre, but every 5,000 words, I color in a little chunk on my word graph, and it is so exciting. Yesterday, so I got over 110. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to it was 112 or something, and I was like, I forgot to color in. Quick, get there. So
that shows, I think the gamification stuff would work, because when I'm writing and it's either a non-writer in the room with me or even a writer, I go, oh, I got a green flag, I'm doing flag.
Okay, can you make the flags pink? I want to know.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I've got two more quick little things. One, when you said it syncs and stuff, but I just thought when I said I was going to write my next book, maybe try it, I realized the next book I'm kind of writing is actually a co-written book. Now, I'm guessing that would be hard to do Scrivener with co-writing.
Yeah, you'd have to use Google Drive still for that. I mean, again, unless there's a feature I don't know, but it's not
That's
like
another feature we need in there, the
yeah, you're
co-writing
right.
feature.
Multiple users on the one project. I just think there's so
Would be
much room
good.
there though.
Especially in script writing and screenwriting too. What were you saying? Sorry?
I just think there's a lot of room for error there because, if someone, I don't know, someone's syncing it and they sync. And the reason why I made my error on my phone is because I'm on the run when I'm on my phone. So I'm not going to double check it's the most up-to-date one, like I'm on the fly. So, but multiple users per project could be handy. They definitely need to develop something now that more and more people are co-writing, and congratulations on the announcement, right?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
we're doing Google Documents, and so far that's working pretty well. And my final question is just, have you got any, I mean, I think it's sort of covered it, but for a total newbie beginner, what's your, a tip?
I reckon find a buddy. Just like find someone that has mentioned it. And, you know, all of us bookish writer people, we're so nice. Like we're so nice. Like, you're like, oh, okay, I'll help you.
Also, we love procrastinating, right? So, hey, helping someone for an hour instead of writing.
I've helped so many people. Like I've offered like at things, just like, oh, if you grab me and if I've got a second, I'll just show you how I use it. And because it's the gift of passing that on, because that's what my friend did to me. So yeah, again, it sounds like I'm some like affiliate, or it's literally just because it's really helped me. Like, I don't know that I would have given up without it, but it's definitely made my life a little easier.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So over to you on the other questions.
So my other questions just are not Scrivener related, but Karina mentioned that she's a digital marketer, and that explains, I would imagine, partly why the Instagram posts I saw were so effective. But I'm curious, Karina, as to whether your perspective as a digital marketer has actually started to influence what you want to write as a novelist in terms of your perception of what the market is and which readers are out there and how you're going to communicate it. And so therefore, do you, when you get an idea for a novel and start to write it, already anticipate how you are going to talk to people about it through digital spaces?
Yeah, I think a little bit, but I think it's just because that's how my brain worked already. Like the reason I was in digital marketing and marketing is just because I've got a very commercial brain. So I'm always thinking about I can't not think about what the next step is. And so are we actually going to distribute this and what the outcome is? The difference is I knew that in other industries, but not the book industry. So the last couple of years, my brain has definitely been downloading data and looking and learning, because, you know, you don't know these things until you're actually in it. And I think for sure it's and not only that, it's joyful for me. So a lot of the marketing things that I did around that island feeling was just about leaning into the world that I've created off the page, because that's the stuff that I enjoy. And then people happen to respond to that. So that's lovely. But I think if I was just purely writing from a trends or commercial perspective, you spend so much time writing it, right? And then you have to promote it. I really know that unless I'm motivated by something bigger, like what do I want to say or what the idea was. But if I have an idea and I'm passionate and I can look at it and say, you know, maybe I can try it this way this time because I've seen other books out there or this is happening, then I am starting to kind of mold a little bit what I'm doing, and just better understand how this crazy biz works.
And this is somewhat related to the next question I have, which is about the genre you write in, romantic comedy, and that perception of the audience. There is definitely a rom-com audience out there. I think it's been ignored for years. Netflix started to bring back the rom-com movie, and I love seeing that there's bigger and bigger readerships for this genre. Why is it the right genre for you as a writer?
She asked the tough questions.
Well, I think it's just my natural voice. So, I mean, I got started writing creatively by writing dating stories of loser dates, and they were little vignettes, and if I wasn't laughing, I was crying. So obviously they're quite humorous, and so that was just what naturally came to me. But I think the more books that I write, I get curious, not maybe about completely other genres, but just maybe, a little less calm or a little bit more rom and exploring. But honestly, it's just what came the easiest to me. So I didn't really, and it's what I consumed. So I grew up on a diet of Sophie Kinsella and, you know, the good chick lit, even though we don't use that word anymore, like that was what I loved. So
yeah, same. Yeah.
Yeah, chick lit. Oh, long ago term. So we don't say anymore. So what you mentioned that you are working on something because you were talking about using Scrivener in the present tense. So can you talk about what you're working on now?
yeah, so it's another lively love story for Wanderlusters.
I love it.
I think with that island feeling, because I had Duck à l'Orange and Then Never Ever Forever both come out in the same year in 2023.
Yeah, that was
so
pretty cool one. Hey, yeah.
yeah, I had a real baptism by fire. So one of the reasons for that island feeling was like I myself wanted to go to an island, like I wanted to slow down. But after being on the island where reception is patchy and I've been craving getting back to a city. So I might be featuring a city where dreams are made of, and might also be tying that in with a trip. So yeah, I'm at the stage of hopefully finishing the draft soon. But yeah, it's been a fun one.
Oh, that's good. That's what we want, fun, right? I'm all about reclaiming the fun and reminding us why we do this.
Fun is underrated, I think, for adults. We talk about kids having fun. Adults more than ever need to have fun.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, because otherwise, why are we doing this? You know, I mean, I know there's other, but I think I think when you get obsessed with the numbers which is all normal because it's also important stuff, right? Like we understand business, but I was getting so obsessed with that in the early days just because, again, my digital marketing brain, I'm used to a dashboard and things being transparent and just understanding that I probably got a bit too caught up with that initially. So it's been really nice just to go back to the joy place and just be like, oh, I just love my characters. I just love the story. So yeah, I've been having fun. And this one, you know how they say easy and hard books, like this one started so easy, but it always starts easy when you still are on the other book and you're wanting to get to the moment it gets undivided attention. It suddenly becomes
not so easy.
The next shiny thing drops in. So yeah.
But I always think, I've said it before in the last couple of podcasts too, a shiny idea is not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it means that like I feel much more safe now if I've got another idea, because it's like, okay, well, if this book sucks in the end and, you know, it flops or whatever, at least I've got a better idea anyway. And at least I know what I'm doing next. So it gives me a bit of comfort.
I've already started saying like, oh, the next one is it. Everyone's like, but I thought this one that you were writing. I was like, oh no, because I have the same thing where so far it's been working where the next idea just drops in while I'm working on the thing.
That happened to me for many, many years and then it stopped. And
so don't tell me that.
No. But now it was because, and you already sound like you're 100% above me because you've learned earlier than I did, you know, not to worry about the things you can't control, to really just try and focus on the book and the fun and enjoy what you're doing and remember why you're doing it. And so once I really refocus on that and be kind to myself, now I've found the ideas have come back. So yeah. Well, on that note, we'll just thank you so much, Karina, for taking the time out of on a Saturday to talk to us about Scrivener. I will, I think, definitely give it a go for my next book I'm writing solo, which is an Outback rom-com. So we'll give it a shot and I'll report back. What about you, Soph? You gonna have a play?
I am going to have a play. Yes, I may be about to start something soon. So Karina's inspired me.
It's the right time when you're starting a new book. Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm like itching to go and try it now, play with it after talking to you again. But I'm literally.
If you're halfway through,
I'm more like I'm near the end.
Yeah, no,
in a week, so it'll hopefully be done.
I'm
waiting for the next one. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Karina, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you. See ya. Rach, much like Annie Bucknell persuaded me to start a newsletter when we had her on the podcast, I think Karina has inspired me to give Scrivener a go. So given that I am possibly about to embark on a new manuscript, that seems like a good time. What about you?
Oh, well, I like that you said you changed from persuaded to inspired, because I was like, I don't think you're the type of person to be easily led, Sophie.
But well, not in recent history, but look, at the moment, like, who knows? Being late sounds like a treat, actually. Having someone else say this is a good idea, give it a try. Yeah,
that's so true. I think I'll give it another go as well. Because as I said, my writing process has changed a little over the last few years, and I feel like it might be something that actually, it's more useful for me now. It'll be my third time, I think, of downloading the trial. You have that many years between and it lets you again. So we'll see if it's third time lucky.
Well, you can report back. I'll report back. Listeners / watch. Oh, yes. Sorry. What?
I was just going to say, and listeners / watchers, if you use Scrivener or you've tried Scrivener and didn't like it or you love it, please.
That's what I was about to say, right?
Sorry.
Oh my God, twinsies.
You're like the same now. Well, there you go. You take over.
No, it's just, as you said, leave us a comment or let us know if you have anything to share. Yeah. We'd be interested, I think, to know whether you liked it or didn't like it, what you did like, don't like. Maybe if you have feedback for the Scrivener team, like we got some from Karina, let us know.
Yes. And don't forget, if you love listening to us, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your pods.
And we'll see you next time. Or you can hear us next time. Bye.
See ya.